everybody. Welcome back to Modern Monarchy. I think it's episode 17. Yes. My notes say 16 still, but that's from 16 part A. And this is kind of 16 part B, but I'm going to call episode 17 just like Megan called her second section of With Love Megan a second season.
Counts, right?
That's what Megan says. If you're listening, you might notice that we sound different. If you've heard other episodes before, hopefully we sound better. We're also wondering if we need our extra pop filters that we have. So if anybody is bothered by our plosives, you let us know and we can just slap on an extra pop filter. If you're watching, actually, if you're listening, you'll also hear the intro. If you're watching and listening, you might notice that we put a new little intro clip at the beginning. I don't know if I 100% love it, but it's there for now.
And if you don't like it, we don't care.
I mean, I am asking.
I was going to say, like, we a little bit care, but we a little don't care. If you're going to be, okay, if you're going to be mean about it, we don't care. But you're allowed to give constructive criticism with kindness.
With kindness. Just like Megan would. Okay, let's get right into it because we might have 7 pages of notes, but I think we should be able to just like coast through it pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
I hope it's just chock full of dried flower petals.
Yes, flower sprinkles everywhere. When we left our heroes, they were on Vancouver Island at a friend's house for Christmas. Unfortunately, figuring out how they could leave the royal family. We're not going to get too much into this part because we did a whole Sandringham Summit episode. If you go back to our Sussex security saga or something like that, we do the whole Sandringham Summit thing to too much detail. So if you want all the detail, you can go back. Listen to that.
As you should if you haven't already.
Basically, the Sandringham Summit, Harry and the rest of the senior members of the royal family were going to sit down and figure out one of 5 ways that Meghan and Harry could function. They could either, on one side, just continue to work for the royal family like there was never a problem at all. On the other end of the spectrum, they completely leave and they no longer work for the royal family. And Harry had 3 other options in the middle, apparently, that I don't know how you have 3 other options in the middle, but he wanted one of the middle options where he could still kind of work for the royal family, but also live somewhere else. Basically, the family was like, it's in or out, my friend. In or out. And so we went with out.
This isn't Paris. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
So the first few pages of notes, we do have some like spare notes because spare gets us to basically like the Queen's death. I mean, technically spare stops at Prince Philip's funeral. But then there's like an epilogue at the end of him going to see the Queen after she died. So, while they're trying to decide where to live, Harry says it doesn't really matter where we live. We said so long as the palace fulfills its obligation, and what I felt is its implicit promise to keep us safe. AKA, I just assumed you were going to pay for my security.
Forever and ever.
I don't understand why he felt like that was an implicit promise.
Right? When has that like ever been the case?
Nobody said you were going to keep your security when you decided to not work for the family anymore.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, come February 2020, the UK government has decided that they are going to pull their security. And they give them until the end of March to figure that out. Harry's calling people he knows to try to figure out, like, where does one get security and how much is this going to cost me? And basically, he estimates that it's going to cost about $6 million a year for security that he wants.
Just
to
a
which,
small amount of money.
Yeah, to which I am wondering, like, when you said we were stepping away from working for the royal family and that you get us, we're still going to do good works, but you get us for free. And you're learning that security alone costs about $6 million. That's not free, my guy.
$6 million is basically free, though, right?
It's basically free, except he's panicking because he doesn't know how he's going to get that money. On March 2020, while we're still in Vancouver, anyways, there's these two guys from Russia who prank call people. And I'm not going to say Harry's the only person who's ever been pranked called. But, well, there is no confirmation that it 100% is Harry. I don't think he's ever denied that it was him. Basically, the two guys, and did they have a woman? They must have had a woman. Anyways, one of them was pretending to be Greta Thunberg, the
climate activist.
Yeah. So one of the guys is pretending to be Greta Thunberg, and one is pretending to be her dad. And for some reason, they've called Prince Harry to have a chat. Okay, so I'm going to have you read some of my favorite bits from the transcript of said phone call.
Okay. On using private jets. Unfortunately, there's very few alternatives. We have to fly on commercial planes all over the world.
Have to.
Of course. Other planes don't exist. Nowhere near as much as most people who do it for a night or weekends. Oh,
or every 2 weeks to meet your girlfriend.
But I don't do it much because there's no other options.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Take a blimp.
Imagine saying he thinks he's talking to Greta Thunberg.
Right? And being like, we have to.
And be like, I'm sorry, Greta, I gotta use a private plane.
Private plane. I'm like Moira Rose. I simply must take a private plane. I can't be seen with common folk. Okay. On Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. Ooh. I have very little to say on that, but whatever he has done or hasn't done is completely separate from me and my wife. We operate in a way of inclusivity and we are focusing on community. And so we are completely separate from a majority of my family.
I'm sorry to really say we operate in a way of inclusivity, and then the next sentence, we are completely separate from my family.
We're focusing on community, but not my family.
No, we're all about community, just not that one.
That one. But inclusivity. On being stripped of titles and losing royal privileges. No. Again, you mustn't believe what you read. No one has stripped us of our titles. Because of a technicality within the family, if we are earning money separately from within the family structure, then obviously we obviously have been asked not to use our titles in order to make money, which we would never do. The press managed to jump on that and make it look like we'd been stripped. Yet we would never use our titles for profit.
Dude, you gotta talk to your wife. I don't think she was listening to this.
When he said we, he meant me.
And then this is my least favorite.
Bizarre exchange on Greta marrying Prince George. Okay. Fake Greta says she is a distant member of the Swedish royal family. Harry replies with a chuckle, "Oh, wow, so we're related?" Greta says, "Yeah, it's true. And if it will help me in fighting for climate change? Should I arrange a dynastic marriage, do you think? I think it'll help. What? The prince is heard responding, I'm certain it'll help. The giggling Greta, age 17, then says, I found some candidates that suit me. James Windsor or Prince George. Their ages, I think, are very suitable for my marriage. It will help. Harry then replies, laughing, I'm sure I can help.
What? At this time, George is 7.
Ew. But also, what?
I mean, I can understand if he thinks Greta's kidding, that he's going along with the joke. I don't know why you would say, I'm sure I can help with that.
Right?
I'm uncomfy.
Super bizarre.
So we don't know if that was Harry, though. So it could just be anybody. Could
have been anyone.
So, it's 2020. COVID's a coming. And they notice that places are starting to shut down. And Meghan's like, we're going to get trapped here. We got to go. I don't understand why they needed to leave Canada.
Very unsafe there. Very unsafe.
I mean, Canada was one of the places they were thinking about moving to. Meghan already lived there for years. She knows people.
Right.
And I don't think Catherine McPhee's going to kick them out of their house when COVID is in full swing.
Maybe.
So they start panicking about needing to leave Canada during COVID or just before the borders close. And Meghan remembers that guy, Tyler Perry. He left me a note at my wedding and I didn't respond. And he said he would help me because he knew that I was a victim in this situation. And he was like, anything you need, I'm here to help. But, it's been a couple years, so I thought I'd reach out to him now. And luckily enough, he offered us his house in LA.
Just a
So,
small, modest abode.
I would just like to say,
Oh, hey.
I understand that Tyler Perry is a very famous person. And so you might feel like you know him because you've seen him on TV. But why would you take your wife and your little baby child to a stranger's house where anything could happen to you? It is clear. It's clearly a secluded place that's gated. So anything that happens in there, nobody knows. He's a billionaire. Billionaires are weird.
Billionaires are historically the weirdest.
The weirdest people. I just think it's stupid to go to a stranger's house like this.
For a time when you probably can't leave.
Yeah. So luckily nothing happened to them. I guess Tyler Perry wasn't there the most of the time that they were living in there, but he obviously pays for the house and he paid for security, so they didn't have to worry about security for a little bit longer. Fun fact, somewhere in this house is a painting of the goddess Diana from Greek mythology.
Interesting.
And so in Spare, Harry mentions that it was Archie's favorite painting and that he would just toddle up to it and just start gurgling at this painting. And he was like, he knows it's Diana, my mother. And then they told Tyler about it. And he was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that was even there. That gives me chills. You guys are too much. So they're going to move into his house at the end of March 2020. April 2020, they're launching Archwell, which is so sort of a foundation, kind of a charity. They take in money to help them invest in people doing good works, but also wondering if some of that money pays for their lifestyle. Just seems really shady to make a charity when you don't even have a house yet.
Right. Right.
Maybe I'm not saying to use some of that money to buy a house, but
Where did the money go? Do we know? We don't probably know.
if you try to go to archwell.com now, it just redirects you to sussex.com, which is kind of their big umbrella website for everything that they do. Megan said that the Archwell idea came to them before Sussex Royal, which was the website they had when they were part of the family, where they were trying to like be separate from William and Catherine and have their own thing. It does remind me of this year when she said As Ever is the name of her products line, is the name of her company. And that she'd had that name before she thought of American Riviera Orchard, even though you named the company American Riviera Orchard for like a year and then changed your mind because you couldn't get the trademark. I don't want to get too much into it, and I might cut this part out, but it still bothers me that they say that arche means source of action. It does not.
What does it actually mean?
Greek for like the origin of, the like primary example of, if you're talking about like a group of people, the arche prefix is used on words for like the chief of a group of people or something like that, the person at the top. It's more about like the origin of something. So like if someone is the archetypical something, they're the best example of that thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting that they would do that to somebody who's a classics major, and
they would do that to me.
Out of all the people,
right? So they launch Archwell in April, and a little bit after that, the paparazzi have figured out that they live at Tyler Perry's house. And now there's like helicopters flying overhead, and people keep like kind of busting into the fence, and they have to keep fixing the fence so that people can't get in to take pictures on the property. According to Harry, shortly after that, that's when his dad tells him that he's going to cut him off financially.
Exactly then, while we were revising our budget, word came down. Pa was cutting me off. I recognize the absurdity, a man in his mid-30s being financially cut off by his father. But Pa wasn't merely my father. He was my boss, my banker, my comptroller, keeper of the purse strings throughout my adult life. Cutting me off therefore meant firing me without redundancy pay and casting me into the void after a lifetime of service. More, after a lifetime of rendering me otherwise unemployable. I felt fatted for the slaughter. Suckled like a veal calf. I'd never asked to be financially dependent on Pa. I'd been forced into this surreal state, this unending Truman show, in which I almost never carried money, never owned a car, never carried a house key, never once ordered anything online, never received a single box from Amazon, almost never traveled on the underground, once at Eton on a theater trip. Sponge, the papers called me. But there's a big difference between being a sponge and being prohibited from learning independence. After decades of being rigorously and systemically infantilized, I was now abruptly abandoned and mocked for being immature, for not standing on my own 2 feet. The question of how to pay for a home and security kept Meg and me awake at nights. We could always spend some of my inheritance from Mummy, we said. But that felt like a last resort. We saw that money as belonging to Archie and his sibling. It was then that we learned Meg was pregnant.
Okay, a few things here. Number one, it's everybody else's fault that he doesn't know how to function as an adult.
He was prohibited from learning. Are you kidding me? Clearly.
Yeah. They literally saw him trying to figure it out and they were like, nope.
We will not have life skills.
That is irritating as a fellow adult.
I don't know how to be an adult. Wah.
I feel like
I've never had to carry money or a house key. Wah. I've never owned a car.
It makes it really hard to sympathize with people who have an infinitely easier life than myself.
Right.
But at the same time, you are a grown adult. You're a father. You're supposed to be taking care of at least one other person, if not also your wife. So maybe when we made a giant life change, we put some planning into it, and you're like, hey, I'm going to need to get a job. What kind of job do I want? I should probably at least talk to some people about what I need to do to get a job. You should probably
do that. He was prohibited.
Okay, sorry.
He was prohibited from using the internet.
One of the other things that bothers me is we saw that the money from my inheritance from Mummy belonged to Archie. So we know that Harry got, I think, somewhere between like $9 and $11 million when his mother died. I think it was put aside, and when he was like 30 or something, he got the money. If you're not going to plan things out and make sure you're set up before you leave, maybe you should use the millions of dollars you have in reserve to figure out where you're going to live. Because if the plan is to make more millions, you could just replace it after.
Right. At least have a place to live.
Yeah. And then the last thing on here is that after they found out that they were being cut off, they figured out that Megan was pregnant. This is not with Lily. This is the one that they're going to have a miscarriage from.
Got it.
So now we're talking about moving into our new house.
We found a place, priced at a steep discount, just up the coast outside Santa Barbara. Lots of room, large gardens, a climbing frame, even a pond with koi carp. The koi were stressed, the estate agent warned. So were we. We'll all get along famously. No, the agent explained. The koi need very particular care. You'll have to hire a koi guy. Uh-huh. And where does one find a koi guy? The agent wasn't sure. We laughed. First world problems. We took a tour. The place was a dream. We asked Tyler to look at it too, and he said buy it. So we pulled together a down payment, took out a mortgage, and in July of 2020, we moved in. The move itself required only a couple of hours. Everything we owned fit into 13 suitcases. That first night, we had a quiet drink and celebration. Roasted a chicken, went to bed early.
It's the contradictory language between the first part of this, where we're just talking about how like lavish these homes are, that you're going to need a koi guy. That's never going to be a problem when I'm trying to buy a house.
Right.
And then to follow it up with, we pulled together a down payment and we took out a mortgage and all of our stuff only fit in 13 suitcases.
Right. He also kind of recognizes it because he says stuff like, you know, we laugh.
First world
problems. He knows. Like, that's... Mm-hmm. I think that's what's most frustrating for me, where it's like, you get it, but you don't get it?
Exactly. You get it, but you're still going to complain to me.
Right. I think that's the part that's like most obnoxious for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like I would rather you not recognize it at all. If you just left out this shit about like first world problems or like, you know, yeah, we have millions of dollars set aside. Ugh. Like,
he's frustrating, to say the least. Anyways, our poor, unfortunate millionaires move into their new home. I believe at this time they are in the middle of Meghan's case against the newspapers for publishing the letter she sent to her dad. And so they've said that the stress from this case and the stress of needing to find a place to live and all that together is why Meghan had a miscarriage. The miscarriage story that has like 3 different versions. And we went into in a different episode. Okay, so shortly after moving in, Meghan and Harry used to get into politics a lot more. And they would put out statements and whatnot of talking to people about voting and how if you don't vote, then you're complicit in whatever happens to the elections. Meghan wrote that letter to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer where she was explaining to them how she struggled so much as a child. Remember the $5 salad bar story?
Yeah, she had it very difficult.
Yeah, all of that was an effort to get them to understand that families need a proper parental leave time and free health care. Free health care would be good, but free daycare for children would be also really great if you want people to work. Something else she did is she starts hanging out with Gloria Steinem, who she calls Glow.
Of course she does.
Of course she does, because Meghan's a feminist. And you know what? As a feminist myself, not a big fan of Gloria Steinem.
Neither's
And
my
maybe I'm too picky. But her and Madeleine Albright have been on my shit list since 2016.
I mean, yeah.
Madeleine Albright was the one during the Democratic primary. She was obviously backing Hillary Clinton because she was the female candidate.
Right.
And she said at a rally for Hillary Clinton that there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other. AKA, if you don't vote for Hillary Clinton, you're going to hell.
Right.
I don't like Hillary Clinton as a person. I was also running 2 different the socials for 2 different grassroots groups for Bernie Sanders. So I really didn't want to hear this.
Fair. Justice for
Gloria,
Bernie, by the way.
Gloria Steinem was on Real Time with Bill Maher at that time. And she said that young women supported Sanders because the boys are with Bernie. Which I think is one of the most misogynistic things I've ever heard a feminist say.
Right?
Screw you. Like,
no, we actually liked Bernie because we liked his policies.
why would I
Crazy.
ever vote for somebody because I think I'm going to, hang out with guys?
Right?
You're gross. You're gross.
I don't actually
Go away,
want
Glow.
that. I just we just liked his policies.
Yeah, this is kind of a pattern I notice of Meghan preaching all these lovely niceties about being kind to one another and being a feminist and whatnot. And the people she hangs out with, you're just like, did you not research them
not really
a
feminist.
little bit?
No, remember, she doesn't know who anybody is.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Not even the royal family.
Doesn't know who they are. She didn't know who that is.
So
Doesn't know who Glow is.
September 2020, 2 months after they get their new house, they announce that they have this a 5-year deal with Netflix. That's at least $100 million deal. In spare, Harry says we signed several corporate partnerships, which would give us the chance to resume our work, to spotlight the causes we cared about, to tell the stories we felt were vital, and to pay for our security.
And there
I think
it is.
that last one was the most important one to you.
That's the only thing they care about.
But I had to say all that other stuff first to make it sound good.
It was a small asterisk at the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
Under security.
A couple months later, in December of 2020, they're going to announce that they had their $20 million deal with Spotify. So Spotify also thought that they were going to get some good content out of these two. So part of Archwell, they have like Archwell Productions. So like any shows or podcasts they make, it goes under Archwell Productions and Archwell Audio.
Definitely a charitable foundation. Yep, makes sense.
So December 2020, they announced that they have the Spotify deal. They also say that they're going to be doing a podcast together. And so at the end of the year of 2020, they do a special holiday episode. This is her first experience with holiday. Yeah, I have to say with holiday.
Had, like, Christmas before.
Because in an interview recently, they were like, "Oh, we heard you have like a Christmas special for With Love Megan coming out. How's that going?" And she was like, "Well, you can't forget holiday." And I'm like, "That's not an English sentence."
That's like the Daily Mail wrote it.
So they have a holiday special, and they have a bunch of celebrities on, including Jose Andres, who's one of the cooks that was on the first part of With Love Megan, Naomi Osaka, who was a tennis player who was just on Megan's holiday special this year, which, by the way, her segment on the holiday special was super awkward. I don't know if you've ever seen Naomi Osaka when she tries to do like interviews and stuff for PR purposes. But she's not a personable person at all. Like, I don't know why you wanted her on your television show. I'm sure she's lovely, but she's not a personality. She has Brene Brown, Deepak Chopra, James Corden, Sir Elton John, and of course their best friend Tyler Perry. Everybody has a part of the show where they look back on 2020 and how hard it was, but you know, we're still grateful for things. It's very holiday. But I'm just going to play for you the absolute tippy tap end of the episode because there was something that was actually cute. I'm going to give it to him.
You can speak in turn.
Archie, is it fun?
Fun.
Fun.
After me. Ready? Happy?
Happy.
New?
New?
New. Yeah.
Boom.
It's adorable.
Fine, it's cute.
It really You can like it because it's Archie. It's not actually
That's
that.
fair.
They're not the cute part.
He's just a baby.
He's so cute. He's a little happy. New. Yeah.
And then a little giggle. Love it.
He's so cute. So they post that special because, you know, they've been saying they're going to have a podcast together on Spotify. And that's the end of that. You will never hear another podcast episode with the two of them together. They just like had to put something in on their Spotify deal to be like, yeah, we're working on something.
We did it.
Also, Christmas 2020, there's a little story from Spare. Read the blue, please.
It was Christmas Eve. We FaceTime with several friends, including a few in Britain. We watched Archie running around the tree, and we opened presents, keeping the Windsor family tradition. One present was a little Christmas ornament of the Queen. I roared, "What the?" Megan had spotted it in a local store and thought I might like it. I held it to the light. It was Granny's face to a T. I hung it on an eye-level branch. It made me happy to see her there. It made Meg and me smile. But then Archie, playing around the tree, jostled the stand, shook the tree, and Granny fell. I heard a smash and turn. Pieces lay all over the floor. Archie ran and grabbed a spray bottle. For some reason, he thought spraying water on the broken pieces would fix it. Meg said, "Archie, no, do not spray Gan." I grabbed a dustpan and swept up the pieces, all while thinking, this is weird.
Oh, it is weird, but it's also appropriate because you've been smashing your grandmother's legacy ever since.
Just spray with a little water. That'll fix it.
Yeah, just spray your family relations with a little water. Walk up to your brother and just spray him in the face.
This is fixing it, right?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, after this lovely Christmas, they are going to spend some time in the next couple of months recording an interview
Have you
with
heard?
Oprah. And March 7th, 2021 is the day that Jen got real interested in the royal family.
Somebody remembers that day distinctly.
I was so excited for this interview because when they'd left, I was like, oh, you hear about the media being a nightmare, especially for the royal family in the UK. They just get trashed like all the time. And so I can understand not wanting to deal with that.
Totally.
I know they were going to do a tell-all interview, which is not something that royals do very often. So I was like, okay, I want to hear it. I want to hear. What do you have to say? And I'm like, I'm totally expecting it just to be about the British press. And then it turned out that they were just going to crap all over his family for an hour and a half. And then wonder why his family is mad at them.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
So, here are some of the major points from the interview that really stood out for me. Obviously, there are the unconscious bias claims, where they essentially say that somebody in the royal family said something about Archie's skin color. And so they must be like kind of racist, but they just don't know. They don't know that they're racist. It's really unfortunate. That's why they put it as unconscious bias. I believe that Meghan had to package it this way so that Harry could accept it. Because if she just said, your family is a bunch of racist assholes, I think he might get his hackles up a little bit.
Right. It wouldn't go over as well.
But to package it as like, they're just dumb. They don't
Right.
know. And so he feels bad for them because they don't know. But I also can't hang out with you because you're racist.
But like soft
As-
racism.
Yeah. So there's two different points of this interview that they talk about it. One, Harry's talking to Oprah by himself. And he says that he was in conversations with somebody who wondered what the color of their child's skin was going to be. And he's like, oh, I thought that was interesting. And when Meghan talks about it, she's like, yeah, they're having conversations about what color his skin might be in tandem with conversations about the fact that he's not going to be a prince. So obviously those two have everything to do with each other, right?
Of course.
Or not. Like, she says in the interview, like, I heard there was some sort of letters patent, I don't know, King George V or whatever, that said who could be a prince and princess, and Archie doesn't fit into that, but yeah. But still, he's going to be the first kid, the first royal member of the family that has some color. And he's not going to be a prince, so it just looks bad. Like, that's
definitely
it.
racist.
Anyways, the way they say it sounds like they're just calling somebody, at least one person in the royal family, racist. And people are going to talk about that in the news for the next 2 years before somebody asks Harry about this thing again. We'll get there. They also mentioned that the big wedding they had on TV was not the real wedding. That thing, that was just for the public, you know. Thanks for paying for it, but it doesn't mean anything to us. They say that working with TV companies such as the streaming giant Netflix was not part of the plan when they first moved to the U.S., but there's also evidence that they were talking to the people who run Quibi in 2019, that like short form television app that failed. They also, on the Netflix show, which at this point we haven't seen yet because the Netflix show will come out like a year and a half after the Oprah interview. But in the Netflix show, there's lots of B-roll from before they left. Where like when they leave Canada to go to Tyler Perry's house, Harry's already like doing selfie cam videos of like, we're going on the Freedom Flight. And you're like, oh, but you weren't going to use that for anything?
Right.
You were just talking into your phone?
For fun?
Yeah. This is also the interview with the infamous question of, Meghan, were you silent or were you silenced? And it was the latter. She never gets to say anything she wants to say. They bring up being cut off financially and having the security taken away from them. Meghan complains that nobody taught her how to be a princess. Even though there are reports that she was offered a handful of people. Like, I think even Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, I think she was one of the people that they were like, she came into this family. She wasn't royal before this, and she's doing great. Why don't you go talk to her? No, everything I need to know, I'm going to learn from Harry. Because he's paying attention to anything? I don't think so.
And also, he's a shining example of a princess.
He's a little princess. She's claiming for the first time that she was severely depressed and they would not allow her to see a therapist. Nobody would let her get help.
Nope.
Which that was, when I heard this as a person who didn't know too much about the royal family, the racist comment was the first one. I was like, I don't get the vibes from that family that they are racist. But at the time, I was like, admittedly, I don't know every story that there is. Now I do. But the one that stood out to me the most was they wouldn't let me get help. Because that one didn't ring true at all. I was like, everybody in that family has a therapist. At least one. I mean, we already know that Diana saw therapists all the time.
And also, Harry and William and Catherine had a mental health charity.
That I didn't even know when I watched this interview. I didn't know anything about Heads Together. Other than later, when I saw like literal videos with them talking about mental health together, I was like, these are the people that didn't let you get help?
It's the same people who prohibited Harry from learning how to be an adult.
Yeah. Something tells me he didn't try too hard. There was the classic Kate made me cry. I didn't make Kate cry at the wedding stuff. Kate made me cry. Nobody cares. I don't know why that story bothers you so much. I do have one little clip that was on Oprah's website as an exclusive.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't think this was in the final edit, possibly. She's trying to explain to Oprah her thoughts on privacy and how everybody has a right to privacy. I just don't know if I'm following the analogy that she's using.
Okay.
So we'll give it a little listen. You tell me how you feel.
Okie dokie.
That you shouldn't you have an expectation that you're going to have to lose privacy?
Well, it's two things here.
That's part of the deal.
Two things here. I think everyone has a basic right to privacy.
Agreed.
Basic, right? And we're not talking about anything that anybody else wouldn't expect. So if you're at work and you have a photograph of your child on your desk and your coworker says, "Oh my gosh, your kid's so cute. That's fantastic. Can I see your phone so I can see all the pictures of your child?" You go, "No, this is the picture I'm comfortable sharing with you." And then if they double down and say, "No, but you already showed me that one, so you have to show me everything." You know what? I'm just going to hire someone to sit in front of your house or hide in the bushes and take pictures into your backyard because you've lost your right to privacy because you shared one image with me. That's sort of the flawed argument and its operating mechanism that they're confusing people to think. I think life is about being able to share our stories and share parts of our lives that you're comfortable with. There's no one who's on Instagram or social media that would say, because I shared this one picture, that entitles you to have my entire camera roll. Go ahead, look through it. No one would want that.
I appreciate that Oprah also is looking confused.
Right? And then she's like, Yeah. I understand what she's like. I understand the analogy itself, right? Like, and I can agree that like just because you have one photo that's like kind of public, like that doesn't entitle somebody to like all of your photos. Like that makes sense. But the context in which she brought it up,
Right. Like, that's not what's happening.
exactly.
People take pictures of you whenever they can because you're famous. They didn't
Right.
go, "We saw one picture of your child. We now are going to find every way possible to get more pictures of your child."
Right.
I just,
And it's also like you're going to events that are inherently public and publicized. Like you know and in a way are consenting to being photographed in those settings. Like
in
yes.
those settings, yeah. I can understand not wanting people taking pictures of your backyard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where I'm like, I can understand bits and pieces of what she's trying to say, I think. But it's not, but it's not what's happening.
Yeah. I think, obviously, this is the two of them, their biggest problem is that the way that they think is not how a majority of us think. And so they keep complaining to us and we keep looking at them like, what do you want? What do you
Right.
want from us?
That's not a valid problem for anybody else.
So that's March 7th. March 9th, Buckingham Palace posts a statement. Would you like to read the statement on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen?
Would love to. The following statement is issued by Buckingham Palace on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. The whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging the last few years have been for Harry and Meghan. The issues raised, particularly of race, are concerning. While some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much loved family members. And that's it.
Yep. So, like, the biggest quote, like, the thing that people repeat from this statement is recollections may vary. We're always like, that is the nicest way to say, oh, is that how you remember it?
We seem to have a different memory of that, but okay.
Okay.
This is a fun way to learn that we disagree.
Yeah. Obviously, the biggest bombshell from this is them accusing people of being racist in the royal family and not even saying who it is. They're like, well, we're not going to tell you who it was, but then you kind of paint the whole family with the same brush because we don't know who it is. So 2 days after this statement, which is one of the rare times that they are complaining and explaining, kind of. So 2 days after this, William is out at an engagement and somebody asks about it. So he answers.
Sir, have you spoken to your brother since the interview?
No, I haven't spoken to him yet, but I will do.
And can you just let me know, is the royal family a racist family, sir?
Very much not a racist family.
I'm sorry. The way the guy asked the question is the most polite British thing I've ever.
Are you a racist family?
Excuse me, sir. But is the royal family racist?
Very much not a racist family. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody talked to William after that. Like, you're not supposed to answer those questions. And he's like, I don't care. I'm pissed at my brother.
We're not racist. Toodaloo.
So, a little bit after the interview, Prince Philip goes to the hospital. At the time, he is 99. So, every time he goes to the hospital, it's a big deal. It's a big enough deal that there was a statement from the Sussex camp that they had to tell people in the news that, hey, we recorded the Oprah interview before he was in the hospital. Like, we didn't know that this was going to come out while he was in the hospital. That's really cruel. We wouldn't do that. He's 99. He's going to die soon.
He's practically dead.
Why are you doing this at all? I mean, right now, I other than needing money, you could have held on to this little tell-all until after your grandparents died.
Right.
At least. Because
but maybe if we kill him earlier, it'll be fine.
now that your grandparents get to spend the last few minutes on this earth having everybody think that they're racist. Thanks. Another reason why this is rather cruel is at their wedding, Harry and Meghan, I almost said Mary and Hagen again. Harry and Meghan's wedding, I keep thinking I'm saying it the wrong way. Oh my God. At Harry and Meghan's wedding, Prince Philip was 6 weeks outside of having a hip replacement at the age of 96.
Which is wild.
And he walked down the aisle at their wedding with no assistance because he had a duty to be there for his grandson. And then you pull this shit. And then you ruin it.
Nice to Matt Smith.
You be nice to Matt Smith. So April 9th, he passes away. April 17th is the funeral. Meghan can't go because she's pregnant. And she's like very heavily pregnant. So I'm not saying it was an excuse. Because sometimes when she doesn't show up, it's because nobody likes her.
In this one, I guess it was fair.
So she sent a wreath. That's the one in the picture here that's kind of purpley because it's got lavender in it. So she sends a wreath with a nice little handwritten note. In the procession, the funeral, William and Harry not even marching next to each other. They put their cousin Peter in between them. It's also interesting to note that Andrew and Harry were still allowed to wear their military medals, which from now on, whenever there's a major royal event, the question is always with the two of them, are they going to be able to wear a military uniform? Are they going to be able to wear military medals. Sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. And it's really unfortunate for Harry because the reason that Andrew can't wear his army medal sometimes is because he's a disgusting human being. And the reason why Harry can't is because he's not working for the family anymore. And so people sometimes have like the conversation of we shouldn't be talking about them in the same way. But neither one of them are working royals. So like that's just the end of discussion. It's not
Right.
about who's a better person.
Right. Who's done what to have this happen?
Yeah. At the end of the funeral, when everybody's leaving, we notice that Catherine and William walk together with Harry. In fact, if you watch the video, it looks like Catherine and William are ahead, and then Catherine kind of like lags behind to slow William down so that Harry can catch up. And so there's a little spark of like hope that maybe if Meghan's not around, they can fix this. Spoiler, can't fix it. After the funeral, Harry and Charles and William are going to meet on the Windsor estate to have a little chat. And it's actually a conversation that bookends the book Spare. So he starts talking about the beginning of the book and he ends the book with the end of the conversation. Charles is going to tell both of his boys, please don't make my final years a misery. And I'm going to have you read some of what Harry has to say.
All at once, something shifted inside of me. I looked at Willie, really looked at him, maybe for the first time since we were boys. I took it all in, his familiar scowl, which had always been his default when in dealings with me, his alarming baldness, more advanced than my own, his famous resemblance to Mummy, which was fading with time, with age. In some ways, he was my mirror. In some ways, he was my opposite, my beloved brother, my arch nemesis. How had that happened?
I have this highlighted in red because it pissed me the fuck off. Harry doesn't understand how anybody could be offended by this. In later interviews, they'll ask, like, what was up with knocking your brother down like that? And he's like, I didn't say anything mean about him. I'm like, you literally said he's losing his hair. And not only is he losing his hair, it's taking his resemblance to Mummy away.
Right?
Rude. I just feel like he was jealous that William looks more like Diana than he does.
Right, like he needed to have this one little like dig about it.
Yeah. Harry also included this part.
Pa said, you must understand, darling boy. The institution can't just tell the media what to do. Again, I yelped with laughter. It was like Pa saying he couldn't just tell his valet what to do.
So that's what Harry feels about free speech.
It's the monarchy. It's different.
You can't tell them what to do. That's ridiculous. We talked about this, I think, in William's episode. This is also the same conversation where, like, William has, like, this one last try to get through to his brother and swears on Mummy's life that he wants Harry to be happy. And Harry just says, I don't think you do. And I think that is where the two of them just broke apart.
Right. Which kind of makes sense at that point.
Yeah. A month later is Dax Shepard's podcast episode with Prince Harry. This is a notable episode because this is where Prince Harry says the First Amendment is bonkers. June. Meghan. She wrote a children's book. She says, it started as a poem I wrote for my husband on Father's Day, the month after Archie was born. Obviously, I don't think, from what I've heard, like the pages that I've seen online, it's not that great. I think the biggest example of that is the The last rhyme in the poem, the last sentence is supposed to be "You'll never be alone," but it didn't work. It didn't work timing wise, like rhythm wise with the poem. And so she wrote, "You'll never be alone." We're all like, that's not a word.
Okay.
June 4th, Lily is born.
That's Tyler Perry.
And a baby. There was a Sussex source that said it was untrue that they didn't let the Queen know that they were naming the baby Lilibet after the Queen's family nickname from when she was a child. But then a palace source says that the Queen didn't know that it would actually be Lilibet, the nickname. As in, they probably got on the phone and were like, "Hey, we want to name our daughter after you." And she's like, "Oh, that's lovely."
Right.
And then finds out later it's her nickname she had as a kid
Not Elizabeth.
that her parents and her sister used. And occasionally her husband. And that was it.
Right.
Also, her godfather is Tyler Perry.
Is that still true?
Oh, yeah.
I just, personally wouldn't want my godparent to be an accused rapist.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I want to talk about it now or later. But Tyler Perry is in the middle of some court mess where he's being accused of sexually harassing at least people. And Meghan and Harry have not said anything in support of their friend when they're the ones that are like, if you don't stick up for us in the news, then we don't want anything to do with you. And it's like, well, you don't stick up for literally anybody else.
Right.
Her friend Jessica Maroney got, I can't remember what the story exactly was, but she got involved in some sort of mess where it looked like she was racist, and Meghan's never talked to her since and has not obviously said anything in support of her friend.
Right. She just dropped it.
As I would have been like, I would know if my friend was racist. She's my best friend. She was in my wedding.
Right.
So, yeah, they don't stick up for anybody. And I've also noticed that Meghan never sticks up for Harry when he's going through stuff. You know how, like, this last year has been a nightmare for Harry because of the charities he has in Africa just, like, falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And Meghan just disappears when there's bad press for Harry. But Harry's her knight in shining armor, and he will always be out here fighting for her.
Works well for her.
August 2021, Meghan turns 40. She has a 40 by 40 initiative, which is supposed to be like Barack Obama had 60 for 60. So the Obama Foundation had launched a campaign asking supporters to learn about 60 inspiring young leaders in their network and donate $6 or $60 to help them create positive change, linking their work to Obama's legacy. Meghan's was, she tapped 40 other celebrities and asked them to do 40 minutes of something nice. And that will have a ripple effect and change the world.
Okay. Why are there 40 books in this picture?
They're the bench. That's her children's book.
I see that. But did it not sell well?
She has all the copies.
She bought all of them to make it look like the sales were
She
phenomenal.
bought all the copies, and it's about 15. And, and it's kind of like how As Ever keeps selling out because she probably has like 30 of each item.
Makes sense. Anyway, she has this 40 by 40 initiative. What happens with that?
Well, the quote from the article is, over 2 million women in the U.S. alone and 10 million tens of millions around the world have lost their jobs due to COVID. And I think if we all do it, we all commit 40 minutes to some sort of active service, we can create a ripple effect. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Do 40 minutes of something nice and it'll change the world. Surprisingly, even though this is after the Oprah interview, William and Catherine still say happy birthday on their social media. They're trying really hard to be nice to her. On my birthday that year, September, they are in Time's 100 most influential people. And people just pick on these photos because on the cover shot, Harry is standing behind Meghan and her hair is flowing everywhere. So he just looks like he's her hairdresser. And then the other pictures look like this one on the right where they're walking through some sort of tree forest place. And they look fake. Like, if these came out now, we would say they were AI generated.
Right.
So this is like the beginning of Harry and Meghan getting a bunch of accolades that I don't really think they deserve. But that's my opinion. And so I think I'm going to have you read. This is like the beginning of the letter that Meghan wrote to her dad that she was suing the press over because they published the letter.
Got it.
So just going to have you read, why don't you just read this whole blurb from the beginning of the letter just so we can get a feeling for the tone of the letter.
Daddy, it is with a heavy heart that I write this, not understanding why you have chosen to take this path, turning a blind eye to the pain you're causing. Your actions have broken my heart into a million pieces, not simply because you have manufactured such unnecessary and unwarranted pain, but by making the choice to not tell the truth as you are puppeteered in this. Something I will never understand. You've told the press that you've called me to say that you weren't coming to the wedding. That didn't happen because you never called. You said I never helped you financially, and you've never asked for help, which is also untrue. You sent me an email last October that said, if I've depended too much on you for financial help, then I'm sorry, but please could you help me more? Not as a bargaining chip for my loyalty.
It's a very strange letter where she's being sickeningly sweet by calling him daddy. She's like a 35, 36-year-old woman. Still using the word daddy. It seems a little manipulative.
Right.
She's also put the entire blame of their relationship falling apart on him. I don't know how true it is that he only reaches out to her for money. I don't know. I think you might have a couple bucks that you could throw his way since he had a heart attack. And he's paid for your entire life up until this point.
But they don't have money anymore. They were cut off.
Oh, sorry. Well, she wasn't at the time. She was in the royal family. When she wrote this letter, it was after the wedding when everybody was really mad that her dad and pretty much anybody else in her family wasn't at the wedding. She sues the papers for publishing the letter. Unfortunately, when you do that, there's like a discovery process when you sue people where they like collect information from both sides. So I'm going to have you read some texts between Meghan and their communications person.
Oh, no. Tilly. Whoever the hell. Tilly.
Oh, by the way, when you read this, you're going to get down to where it says even after a week.
Okay. And then go to the
And
next
just go up to the next page because they've cut a chunk out.
Okay. Hi, Jason. I hope the recce
Yeah.
Okay. I hope the recce
It's
is
short
going
for
well.
reconnaissance.
Ah. Okay. Hi, Jason. I hope the recce is going well. I'm currently in Toronto and have drafted a letter to have mailed to my dad. I share this with you in confidence. The letter itself and its contents. My plan is to write it by hand and FedEx it to blank, who will then mail it to my father. My thinking behind this is unlike a text or email, it can't be forwarded or cut and pasted and only share one small portion. It also does not open the door for a conversation. The catalyst for my doing this is seeing how much pain this is causing H. Even after a week with his dad and endlessly explaining the situation, his family seemed to forget the context and revert to, can't she just go and see him and make this stop? They fundamentally don't understand. So at least by writing, H will be able to say to his family, she wrote him a letter and he's still doing it. By taking this form of action, I protect my husband from this constant berating, and while unlikely, perhaps it will give my father a moment to pause. Obviously, everything I have drafted is with the understanding that it could be leaked, so I have been meticulous in my word choice, but please do let me know if anything stands out to you as a liability. Eager to hear your thoughts. And then she clearly sends the content
The letter.
of the letter.
She's not calling
Jason Daddy.
Jason Daddy.
But still, yeah.
Oh, by the way, he calls her Tilly in his phone, so nobody knows he's texting Megan.
Got it. I kind of figured. Okay. Good morning from Tonga. Sorry, I was just waking up to these messages. Recce is going well, but jet lag has been profound. My initial view is that this is a very good idea. The draft letter is very strong. Enough emotion to be authentic, but all in resigned sadness rather than anger. Also, is factually focused in a way that does not read like a legal filing. That is not easy to do. Do you mind if I discuss with Sam this morning? She's just arrived here. Also, there are a few tweaks to the order of events as you've set them out that could be a bit stronger. I think it's slightly worse than you remember. Should we arrange a time and call, or a time for a call, and I can discuss those with you? Wouldn't take long. I hope you're doing okay, blah, blah, blah. I think it's really strong. The only thing I think is essential to address in some way is the heart attack. That is his best opening for criticism and sympathy. The truth is you tried desperately to find out about the medical treatment he said he was receiving, and he stopped communicating with you. You begged him to accept help to drive him to the hospital, etc., and instead of speaking to you to arrange this, he stopped answering phone and only spoke to TMZ. That's a very valid point. We'll redraft one page and try to fit it in. Also, I would prefer if this was not shared in any way with Sam Cohen, as I initially said. Thanks for understanding. We'll try to redraft and get back to you with updates.
This is the last one for this.
FedEx place, but we still need a return address and name. It can be an alias. It can be a FedEx address, but blank is worried about what it should say, so any ideas would be great. Thanks. He's also making a copy for blank to keep on file. It's such a strong and clear letter with just the right amount of emotion. Hope you're okay after writing it. Let me think through return address. We'll come back ASAP. Honestly, Jason, I feel fantastic. Cathartic and real and honest and factual. And if he leaks it, then that's on his conscience, but at least the real world will know. I did very few paragraph breaks, so photos couldn't be taken to indicate the end of a page where there wasn't one. I ended each page with a hanging sentence, so it would always lead you to the next to continue reading. Example, I wish you had just ... with the next sentence of the next page versus wrapping it up as a false ending. Trust me, toiled over every detail which could be manipulated. Left nothing to chance. That's the only way through. I'm assuming this. So basically, this letter was incredibly meticulously crafted and not at all
so that it could be released.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we're going to go over a couple emails.
Oh, there's more
where
bullshit.
There's a couple emails that were released, but this is not about the letter to dad. This is about Omid Scobie, the journalist I said that people call their mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
And Megan telling the court that she had nothing to do with the contents of his book, even though it definitely sounded like there was no way he got information without the two of them, without Megan and Harry. So we have some emails. about the Omid Scobie book.
Okay.
So this is an email from Megan to Jason, the communications secretary.
Morning, Jason. I hope all is well. I meant to reach out this weekend to set a time to speak this week, but woke up to some sobering texts from my mom saying she feels unsafe. With that said, I feel a greater sense of urgency to sit down with you. Would you have some time to talk this afternoon? Would love to debrief a few things, discuss the Omid Scobie book and their outreach, but most importantly, figure out some sort of action plan to ensure my mom's safety from these egregious paps. My afternoon is free from 12 p.m. onward. Let me know if there's a time that will work for you. Thank you, M.
This one you want to start with the bottom because that's the first email, and then the one on the top is the reply.
Okay. Morning, sir. Please see attached topic areas that Omid and Carolyn want to discuss. Please can you decide if you'd like to share these with the Duchess? It is my view that it is not a good idea for the Duchess to open this up to her friends, but I'm happy to facilitate either way. I think both have a natural instinct to want to balance the record in defense of the Duchess, but being able to say hand on heart that we did not facilitate access will be important. Let me know what you think. I will see them this week and help them with factual accuracy and context. Jason. Sorry for filling your inbox with a message I just accidentally sent you both.
I just want to say for people listening, the first email that Cassie just read was Jason Knopf talking to Prince Harry, and now it's Harry responding to Jason.
Got it. Sorry for filling your inbox with a message I accidentally just sent you both. Blame it being a Monday. Okay. I think definitely share this with Em and make the suggestion to her that you have here. She will 100% support it, and I totally agree that we have to be able to say we didn't have anything to do with it. Equally, you giving the right context and background to them would help get some truths out there. The truth is very much needed and would be appreciated, especially around the Markle/wedding stuff, but at the same time, we can't put them directly in touch with her friends.
And now this is part of an email from Jason to Megan.
I also had close to 2 hours with Omid and Carolyn yesterday. I took them through everything. They're going to time the book for run up to the baby being born, and that is going to be very positive. They are prioritizing the U.S. market and will position it as a celebration of you that corrects the record on a number of fronts. I will stay in close contact with them. Let me know if it's helpful to speak.
So then Megan has to apologize to the court because she allegedly forgot that they would be briefing Omid and Carolyn in the new book about them. But for some reason, she's still going to win the case for privacy being breached on the letter.
Okay, even though it was clearly crafted intentionally.
3 judges hearing the appeal said the letter's contents were personal, private, and not matters of legitimate public interest. So I guess because I understand it's not public interest. Like, yes, I'm interested, but like it doesn't really affect anything what she's saying to her dad to anybody else but her and her dad.
Right.
I don't agree that it was private.
I was going to say, I'm like,
sorry.
It's quite clear that she did this with the intention of it being leaked.
Exactly.
Like,
I don't know how much more clear she could get. I would never have even thought to like make sure that my sentences when they go onto other pages shouldn't be stopped before the page so that nobody will think that's where my sentence ends. Like, this is psychotic.
Right?
So Megan will post a statement with her little Megan insignia on it with the little crown over her M.
Mm-hmm.
So she posts what looks like an official statement, but it was clearly written by Megan, and it essentially says that this is not a victory just for me, but for anyone who has ever felt scared to stand up for what's right.
Okay. Girl, she loves to conflate whatever's going on.
She likes making her problems global. So that's the end of 2021, towards the beginning of 2022, it's been almost 2 years since you got your Netflix and Spotify deals, and nothing has been published.
Right.
So people start the whole, where's the content? Where's the content? They're not doing anything. That narrative gets really old really fast for me. Obviously, they were not in a hurry to make content. The other thing that's really annoying is after they leave, a lot of recurring headlines are always whether or not Harry and Meghan are going to show up at a royal event. And it's just real annoying because it just makes everything that happens about them. We'll go to May 2022. She goes to Uvalde, Texas after the mass shooting where lots of children and teachers died. She brought food to the local community center during a blood drive, and she had pictures taken of her at the memorial placing flowers. Apparently, nobody really knew who she was or why she was there until after she left, and then they were like, oh, I guess that would have been nice to know that she was here.
But also, what does she have anything to do with this?
It just looks like a massive PR stunt.
Exactly.
Because
I was going to say,
you
like,
weren't
it feels so staged.
You weren't invited. You didn't say you were coming. And yet somehow we have perfectly taken pictures of you at the memorial of these dead children.
Right.
Also in May of 2022, not too far from Texas, over in Mexico, her dad has a stroke. She will not reach out to him after this either.
She didn't craft a carefully worded letter?
Not this time. That was exhausting.
Fine.
June 2022 is the Platinum Jubilee. It's the big celebration of Queen Elizabeth being on the throne for 70 years. And the two of them do this really annoying thing where they go over to the children at the window and do this little shush gesture, as in like, don't tell anybody we're here, but we're going to stand right in the window.
Right.
What a bunch of goobers. So I'm going to have Kinsey Schofield tell you a little gossip that she heard from this day of Trooping the Color.
Instructed not to repeat this, but I'm going to repeat this here.
That's what we like. Outspoken.
At the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, when Harry and Meghan were in that room, we kind of saw him peeking out. Allegedly, Beatrice overheard Meghan say to Prince Harry, your mom talked to me this morning during yoga, and she's really glad that we're here.
So this is the start of us starting to figure out that Meghan tells Harry that she communes with his dead mother while she does yoga.
Yeah, that's not manipulative at all.
Not at all. They obviously don't have a big role in the Jubilee because they're not working royals, but they are invited to the Thanksgiving service at the church. And I'm just going to play a little video of them leaving at the end of the event. We think that's why Meghan doesn't go back to the UK anymore.
I mean, woof.
So another thing from this day, it is one of those times where, like, most of the time when people say that Catherine or Meghan are dressing like Diana or they're dressing like somebody else, and then you see the picture and they're like, yeah, they both wore a green dress. That's not exactly trying to look like the other person.
Right.
There's only so many colors. This one was a little more spot on for me. It was Meghan dressed the same way as Wallis Simpson, the other American divorcee that took away a British royal. It is the exact same coat.
Right.
And the
same
gloves are
belt.
the same. The only thing, like her collar's a little bit bigger and she has a hat.
Right.
Other than that, they also point back to the Oprah interview where she dressed like this. And that looks pretty close to another picture of Wallis Simpson in the same kind of dress with her hair parted the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an interesting fact that they look the same.
Yeah. It's coincidence.
It's just a little weird. August 11th, 2022, they adopt a dog from a breeding facility in Virginia. There were like 4,000 beagles taken out of this place.
That's wild. And sad.
Yeah. So this is Mama Mia is her name, or just Mia. And so if you see a beagle on Meghan's Instagram nowadays, it's not an old video of Guy. It's probably Mama Mia. Because this last year, she's been posting stuff on Instagram and you're like, oh, is that Guy? Guy's dead.
Guy's dead.
What the hell? Meghan also starts releasing Spotify podcast episodes 2 years later after her deal with Spotify, the $20-something million deal, where she was given an entire crew of people to help her make this thing. And for some reason, it took 2 years. The show is called Archetypes, but every episode is talking about another word that is used to put women down or like to call them a different stereotype. Like asking Mariah Carey to come on because she's been called a diva and saying that that is just a stereotype. But that's kind of backfiring in her face because Mariah Carey comes on and she's like, I am a diva. And it's a good
The
thing.
rumors are true.
I'm a diva. Hello. And so Meghan doesn't
Thanks for
quite
inviting
know.
me.
Meghan doesn't quite know what to do with it. Firstly, the name of her show is wrong. Archetypes are not stereotypes.
Right.
And she's going to say archetype so many times incorrectly on this show. It's ridiculous. Mariah Carey comes on and says, yeah, I'm a diva and that's a good thing. And then she looks at Meghan and she's like, you're a diva? Like, you know what you want. You dress really nicely. Like, you're a diva. And Meghan gets really weirded out about this because she thinks diva is a bad word, even though Mariah Carey just said it's a good word to her.
And she's cool with it.
And at the end of the episode, after Mariah's gone, Meghan puts a little thing at the end that was like, I think I don't have a girl crush on her anymore because she called me a diva. What? Anyways.
I don't think she understands what words mean.
You think. Oh, yeah. We're going to come back to archetypes because archetypes is going to pause after a few episodes.
Why? 'Cause it was bad?
No. We'll get there in a minute. But just for now, after, I think it was like 3 episodes, they put a little pause on it. In the meantime, in between time, August 29th is the infamous Cut article. The Cut. We're just gonna have you read some of my favorite blurbs. This is Meghan talking about getting back on Instagram.
Meghan, silenced, no more, looks around, making sure nobody, who would be, is listening in. Then the top secret drop. I'm getting back on Instagram, she says, her eyes alight and devilish.
Oh my God. she would not get back on Instagram for like another year and a half or 2.5 years.
Okay. Meghan was permitted to join Harry, Kate, and Will on a pre-existing account at Kensington Royal that she had no control over. There's literally a structure by which if you want to release photos of your child as a member of the family, you first have to give them to the Royal Rota, the UK media pool, she explains. Usually, the photos would be on media outlets before she could post them herself. That didn't sit right with Meghan, given her strained relationship with the British tabloids. Harry's girl is almost straight out of Compton, is how the Daily Mail introduced her to the British public, and especially since she would soon have a child of her own to protect. Why would I give the very people who were calling my children the N-word a photo of my child before I can share it with the people that I love, that love my child? She asks, still ruffled. You tell me how that makes sense, and then I'll play that game.
What?
Were they calling him the N-word?
I never heard that. Like we were after this article comes out, it's just a big everybody looking at each other like, I didn't say it. Did you say it? Like clearly it was some weirdo in the comments on Twitter or something like that. Like there are no headlines that say that.
Right.
And we can't, unfortunately, stop crazy people from going on the internet.
And like, just be like, if somebody says that, like, you can't go after every single person who says something like that because you're a famous person and there's gonna be a lot of people that talk shit about you. Sorry. And like, so, you're right. Some of it's really not okay. And some of it I'm sure is very racist and fucked up. But like, that was, no offense, probably happening before. I mean, not that people really cared what, like, who you were at that point maybe, but this feels very out of proportion. Like her reaction to all of these things feels disproportionate to the situation that's actually occurring.
Yeah. Also the whole like the structure of the situation was you had to give your picture of your child to the Royal Rota and then they would publish it before you could publish it. And I don't know if that was like maybe a practice before where the royal family would give a picture to the press to print. But is that not giving you control over which pictures go out no matter who posts them?
Right. They're going through her camera roll and they want to see everything.
Even if the like what the heck the if you posted the picture yourself, they are still going to take it and publish it elsewhere.
Right.
Okay. Next problem.
Though she has been media trained and then royal media trained and sometimes converses like she has a tiny Bachelor producer in her brain directing what she says. At one point in our conversation, instead of answering a question, she will suggest how I might transcribe the noises she's making. She's making these guttural sounds, and I can't quite articulate what it is she's feeling in that moment because she has no word for it. She's just moaning. At this stage, post-royal, there's no need for her to hold back. She's flinging open the proverbial doors to her life. As any millennial woman whose feminism was forged in the girl boss era would understand, she's taken a hardship and turned it into content.
That's absolutely insane.
This article sounds like such a, like, tee-hee, look at this idiot article.
Yeah. And this happens occasionally with her because she's ridiculous. Like the article that came out a couple weeks ago where she had another journalist, she invited them over to a friend's house in New York to do the interview. Mm-hmm. And this was like the second or third time she'd been hanging out with this journalist because they did part of the interview in a couple other places. But when she shows up at this house in New York, which isn't even Meghan's house to begin with, it's just a rich friend.
Right.
So the house manager leads the journalist to where Meghan is in the house and has to announce Meghan before they go see her.
Oh, I
As in,
remember
like-
seeing something about this.
Yeah, it was just Megan, the journalist, and the house manager in the house. And the house manager had to say, Megan, Duchess of Sussex. And this lady put it in the article. And I don't think Megan liked that.
Well, don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb. Why are you having people announce you? Also, if you're hosting someone and they are ushered into your room, that person gets announced to the host.
Right.
Like, so-and-so is here.
Right. Not we're announcing you to the host.
Not, let's walk into this room and see Megan, Duchess of Sussex.
That sounds like you're like leading a tour around the house.
Over here, we have Megan, Duchess of Sussex. And if you look to your right, it's a parfait.
It's her shitty jam.
Okay, next.
The two run Archwell from their shared home office, specifically from two plush club chairs placed side by side behind a single desk, facing into the room like thrones. Most people that I know and many of my family, they aren't able to work and live together, Harry says in passing as I take a peek at their command center. He enunciates family with a vocal eye roll. It's actually really weird because it seemed like a lot of pressure, but it just feels natural and normal.
It is really weird. I noticed it in the Netflix show that they have this giant table with these two plush chairs next to each other and then two laptops in front of them and all their office stuff. And they just like read the news and what everybody's saying about them online while they sit next to each other and freak out about it.
That's weird.
It's unhealthy.
Even if she and Harry had stepped back from their royal duties, Meghan is still very aware that people see her as a princess. It's important to be thoughtful about it because even with the Oprah interview, I was conscious of the fact that there are little girls that I meet and they're like, just like, oh my God, it's a real life princess.
I'm sorry. Can you imagine Catherine saying any of this?
No, none of it.
Oh my God.
But her ambitions for herself and the little girls who look up to her are more than to marry into a position. I just look at all of them and think, you have the power within you to create a life greater than any fairy tale you've ever read. I don't mean that in terms of you could marry a prince one day. I mean, you can find love. You can find happiness. You can be up against what could feel like the greatest obstacle, and then you can find happiness again. It's true.
She's a real inspiration.
She is.
This is one of my favorites.
Even though she avoids reading her own press, we just discussed that she does not, but okay. Meghan knows people see her this way. She
says that she does.
Yeah. She recalls a moment from the 2019 London premiere of the live-action version of The Lion King. I just had Archie. It was such a cruel chapter. I was scared to go out. A cast member from South Africa pulled her aside. He looked at me, and he's just like light. He said, I just need you to know, when you married into this family, we rejoiced in the streets the same way we did when Mandela was freed from prison. No. Bullshit. Nuh-uh. Okay. Anyways, of course, she knows she's no Mandela. But perhaps even telling me the story is a mode of defense, because if you're a symbol for all that is good and charitable, how can anybody find you objectionable? How can anybody hate you?
Like, even if that were true, why would you tell people?
Right? That sounds so self-centered.
But it's not true, as far as we know. South African Lion King actor baffled over Meghan Markle comments. Would you like to read the little blurb I took from the article?
First of all, I want to read the subheader. That's Dr. John Connie said the royal wedding was no big deal in South Africa.
Well, it's going to say that again.
I know, but still. However, Dr. John Connie, who voiced the mandrill shaman Rafiki in the Disney film, has now claimed that he was the only South African South African actor in the production, and also said that he had never met the Duchess and did not attend the UK premiere, according to Mail Online. The Royal Shakespeare Company veteran insisted that Markle's 2018 wedding to Prince Harry was no big deal in South Africa, stating, I cannot even tell you now what month she married or what year.
I'm going to go with
People rejoiced
that
in the
didn't
streets.
happen. Somebody told me that. And now I tell everybody else.
It was Princess Diana during yoga in the morning. It's interesting.
Okay, last one.
I've never had to sign anything that restricts me from talking, she reveals as she ushers me toward the door. I can still talk about my whole experience and make a choice not to. Why doesn't she talk? Still healing, she responds.
That was irritating. Just to throw in a little, it was like towards the end of the article, just throw in the, I didn't sign anything. I could say stuff.
Right? But
All right.
I choose not to.
We're still in August of 2022. We're going back to the UK because at the time, Harry and Meghan had some charity events in the UK, and then they had to do an Invictus event over in Germany, and then they were going to come back to the UK for the Well Child Awards, I believe, another charity event, and then they were going to go home. So while they're in the UK, it is the 25th anniversary of Diana's death. So Harry and Meghan go to her grave, which is on an island in the middle of a pond at Althorpe. So you have to like take a little rowboat over there. There used to be a bridge for like the public to go over there, but I guess people ruined that and they had to take the bridge away. Anyways,
People.
Basically, in Spare, Harry tells us that he brings Meghan to the burial place of Diana, and Harry goes over and visits the little monument thing first to have a little alone time and talk to his mom in his head, and then he lets Meghan go over by herself and do whatever she wants to do. And he comes back when she doesn't come back in a few minutes. He goes over to the memorial, and she's on her knees with her hand on the stone.
Okay.
And her eyes closed because she was communing with Diana again. And Harry asked her what are you doing? And she said that she was asking his mother for advice and guidance and clarity.
Very bizarre.
It's feeling manipulative. So, here comes the reason that Archetypes, I couldn't remember the name of it for a second. Archetypes, the podcast, was paused.
Oh, because
And
Diana
it's
told her.
because the queen passed away. Diana said, just give it a minute. Let it breathe. September 8th, the queen passes away. Harry and Meghan, like I said, had been bebopping nearby. I'm not saying they're responsible, but
It's like J.D. Vance and the Pope.
exactly. So when she's ill, Charles calls Harry and says it's real bad. You should come over now. The only thing is, don't bring her. And by her, we all know he means Meghan. So we noticed as we were watching like the royal family get their stuff together and like fly to Scotland, and we see Catherine's picking up the kids from school, but she doesn't go to the Queen's side either. And we don't have 100% confirmation, but we think that Catherine didn't go so that there was no awkward situation when they didn't want Meghan to be there.
Makes sense.
Although they did tell the news that Catherine just wanted to get the kids home and watch the kids, which is also valid.
Right.
But also could be so they didn't have to invite Meghan. By the time that everybody who had to fly up to Scotland got there, including Harry, who was the last one to get there, the Queen had already passed away, and Harry found out via the BBC. Yeah. I guess he was texting William to try to make arrangements to go together, and William was not answering his texts.
But also maybe he was with his grandmother and not reading them.
He wasn't yet, because the plane that left from England with, I think it had William, Sophie, Edward, and Andrew. Then there's a passage in Spare where he talks about getting to Balmoral. When he first walks in, Princess Anne, his Aunt Anne, is there and asks if he wants to go see the Queen. And he says yes. And then he describes like going to her room and just seeing her on the bed. And I don't know about you, but I feel like that didn't need to be in the book.
Right?
Some things you should keep for yourself.
Yeah, that feels private.
Although we've learned that he doesn't know what private is.
Right.
So.
And yet Megan's like, I would like some privacy, please.
I would love some privacy. So now we have like the actual funeral, which the whole thing takes 10 days to get through. Meghan and Harry don't have like huge roles to play, but obviously they are part of it because they're family. The first thing that happens a couple days before the funeral, William, Catherine, Harry, and Meghan go do a little walkabout together just to see the public. And apparently this was William's idea, just to get them all on the same page. Was it in Spare? I think I read somewhere that William wanted to do the walkabout with them so that they didn't just like show up at the funeral. You know, like introduce them to the crowd. Like, yeah, they're here. Okay, everybody, They're here.
Get it out of the way now.
Exactly. So there were like people that when Meghan would come up to them to like shake their hand or whatever, they would just like turn around and look away, which I think is the nicest thing you could do if you don't want to say hi to her.
But also uncomfy.
Like the other options are no thank you and
ew,
and maybe just like looking past her. Then I think I can play this muted. Yeah. And then Harry's part of the grandchildren's vigil. So earlier, the Queen's children all did a vigil where they all stand on different points of the coffin and they just stand guard for like 15 minutes. And this is the only time that Harry gets to wear a military uniform. And so this was like, you can tell like it means a lot to him that he is allowed to wear his military uniform. And he looks good in it, but this is the last time we're going to see him in it. I just think that, first of all, it is very convenient that she had an even number of grandchildren. And
she would have done that on purpose.
She planned it. The other part that they were part of, okay, so they bring the coffin from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall where it's going to sit for a couple of days to let the public walk by it and say their last goodbyes and give it a curtsy and a bow. So when they bring her from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall, the family...
Did your headphone just go out again?
It's turning it back on. These are stupid headphones. I can't hear you yet. Say something?
Ouch.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. My contacts are killing me at this point, though. And we still have half of a slideshow left, friend. And it's been 2 hours, almost 3.
Let's get through
The funeral?
The funeral, and then just like coming back around to archetypes because it comes back. Okay. So, some of the things that stuck out to me while I was watching this, probably because I just really was irritated with her, and so a lot of things bother me. Number one, she made this face like the whole time she was in Westminster Hall. And it kind of looks like a smirk.
Right.
But it also looks like she doesn't know how to be on camera without smiling. Like, she's putting on a face. That's not her, I'm so sad, this is a sad moment face.
Right.
It just looks really weird.
Well, no, I was going to say, it's that, like, little upturned, like, in the corner of her mouth that feels weird.
Yeah. So I don't even know what to do with that. I just think it's weird.
Fair.
Your face is not
Your
doing
face
a
is
natural
weird.
thing. Your face is weird. When she curtsies, she does like it curtsy almost so her knee touches the ground.
Right.
Clearly she does know how to do a curtsy, even a super, super deep one. Even though Catherine just did a little bounce before her, she was like, I'm gonna one-up her on the curtsy. And then when they were leaving, everybody's walking single file. And these two have to hold hands.
She can't go
And
anywhere without being escorted.
It was probably irrational, but it bothered me. Because to me, if I was in a serious event, a procession, a funeral, a state funeral, and I see everybody else ahead of me is single file, hands down at your side, I am also going to do the same thing.
Right. So
because we're all supposed to be doing the same thing. The point of everybody doing the same thing is to not draw attention to yourself because it's not about you.
Right.
You're doing this in respect to the person that's in the box.
Also, like, these are very procedural events. And it's like, it's just respectful to follow the tradition of how things are being done.
I think even if my husband reached for my hand at this time, I would give him a look like, the fuck are you doing?
Just swat it away.
Like, it doesn't look like anybody else is doing this right now.
Not you.
Everybody already hates us. And then people were saying that people like me are ridiculous. Oh, I don't think so. And they were like, well, Mike and Zara are holding hands when they left. The only problem with that is Mike and Zara were not part of the procession. They were on the sides of the room, and when everybody left, they left with everybody.
Right.
And then the last thing I want to say that was interesting about Meghan at this funeral was her one tear left eye. The little acting trick that she has. Did I tell you about that interview where she told somebody in like 2015 or 16 that one of her big things is she can cry on demand, and her quote is, one tear, left eye, go. And so we only have pictures of one tear on the left eye from the funeral. Okay. I have a picture of the Variety article that we're going to dig through next, but we're going to save that for another episode. So sorry. It broke my heart every time I deleted something from my notes, and it's still too much. Like, every time I deleted something, I was like, but I want her to know. We're just going to wrap it up by saying that Archetypes comes back after the month-long period of mourning for the royal family. And every episode... Yeah. So every episode after just slowly got fewer and fewer listens to the point that I don't even think I listened to the last two episodes. So, and I was interested at the time because we didn't have any content from them. So that's where we're going to leave it for now. And then when we come back, it'll be the end of 2022. And we will definitely get to the present time. I promise.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if you're still listening and you're not super mad at us for dragging this out again, please give this video a like, rate
And
us on
subscribe.
Apple Podcasts, and subscribe everywhere. Although I think on Spotify it's following. And you probably heard us on iHeartRadio, and who knows what Amazon Music does. I don't listen to it. I mean, I love it. You guys are great. And with that we will let everybody go. I hope everybody has a good Christmas, but we'll be back before then.
Yay.
Have a fun Advent.
And a happy
Or-
Hanukkah.
Any other holiday that happens between now and 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, Hanukkah starts on Sunday, I believe.
Ooh, how fun. Yeah. So, thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Goodbye.